Welcome, everybody, to ZenGen Pet Specialist. And today we are going to be talking with Stephen, the cat behaviorist. And Stephen has some great information for us today about cats that I think is going to be full of some new information that even myself, someone who is well versed with cats and spent a lifetime with cats, when I met Stephen, I learned things from him that blew my mind, didn't even know. So I'm really excited to share this information with people. So Stephen and I met on Airbnb. We both host online experiences. Stephen's is focused on cat behavior. And if you have a cat with questionable behavior, or maybe you just want to know and understand your cat deeper and better, Stephen's your man. You want to go and you want to book an experience with him. It's called Cat Behavior Help with a Behaviorist Pro. So I will share the link for this in the description so everybody can have a click and go on over there and book a session. And we met on this Airbnb platform together and hit it off and really respect and enjoy each other's different perspectives, and come together kind of to share information with everybody. So Stephen, up until 2018, he worked for the ASPCA Field Investigation and Response Team on natural disasters and large scale criminal cruelty cases. That's a lot to swallow, and that's a lot to live with. And most recently, he worked for the Animal Care Centers of New York City as the feline behavior coordinator. And now he has a private practice and he's doing cat behavior consults over Zoom with people in the United States and all over the world. So welcome, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It is a great pleasure, Jen, to be here with you. I have to say it's been a great pleasure becoming a friend of yours and having the experience of you and I talking to people about their pets, in this case, cats, in a way that's so complementary to each other that I just discovered was a kind of wonderful and natural experience to share with you. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're going to dive right into things today. And my question for you is, let's start with this. Why cats? Like what drew you to cats? What's the focus and passion and love for cats?
From a kind of general point of view, I feel kind of mystically connected to cats. I enjoy the almost spiritual connection that we form with cats. Dog people, and dogs are great. Dog people typically will say, oh, cats are aloof. Cats are just understated, but they're very, very connected. And I've discovered the depth of connection that I've made with cats is profound. It's just quieter. And it's that connection that I'm deeply attracted to.
That's amazing. And as I've been working with a variety of animals over the years, there's one thing I can agree with. And when you're saying the spiritual kind of connection you get with cats, there is something deep and spiritual. They hit us and affect us in a way that's really deep. You know, your dog's more about kind of changing your environment, changing the way you're living, changing your action, and kind of out here, where the cat really helps you look a little deeper at yourself. I always say a dog rewards you and tells you how amazing you are. Your cat will say to you, you know what? Here's a list of things you should work on, right?
Right. And you feel so grateful when you reach your cat and they give back to you and you're like, wow, I have actually earned that relationship. And that's a very satisfying experience, and even connects to some of my early professional experiences of relieving suffering and the power of that experience, the depth of that experience to make that connection to an animal who is emotionally or spiritually hurting and to bring them to a better place. There's nothing like being able to render that aid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find cats are pretty particular and picky with sharing themselves. They're not as easy, if I can say, as a dog. They're, they are really, so to get the love and affection and to see a cat warm to you and accept you it's a big deal. I think that's a really big deal. So that's incredible. So today our topic's going to be about the three different types of behavior that you have identified and see in cats. And you're going to break that down for us today. And we're going to chat a little bit about each one of those behaviors and what that looks like. So can you share and dive into that for us, what those are?
Yeah, sure. And this approach in terms of providing categories of behavior is to help owners uh, understand how to get their cat to a happier place. And by understanding the category that the cat's falling into, it shapes our approach. So there's number one, there's innate or instinctive behaviors. These are behaviors that we typically don't want to try and stop, can't really stop them. What we want to do is shift them from the kind of negative expression that, from our point of view, is a negative expression, like scratching on your brand new sofa, to a happier expression that satisfies the cat, but not at the expense of our beautiful sofa, or Chesterfield, if I was talking Canadian, right? And that is to redirect. And redirection is not simply about putting a scratching post over here and going on a smoke break and expecting your cat is going to go use the scratching post. It's about providing a reason more than just the post itself. It's about helping the cat enjoy this experience. So we do things like reward the cat at the post, provide positive feedback, treats, toys, catnip, treats for using it to build that association, while providing some type of gently negative feedback at the sofa that does not associate us with the negativity, because we don't want that being connected into our relationship with the cat. So by that, I mean, you might use double-sided sticky tape for a period of time, so that when the cat puts their paws on it, they're like, ugh, that was bad. And then you're like, yeah, but over here, there's treats and toys. And that will very quickly teach the cat that this is fun, 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 fun. And this place is a bore. Don't like this at all. So that's the first.
Okay.
Second is behaviors that are learned. And yes, a cat may learn a behavior on their own, but oftentimes we teach the cat the behavior. And this could be, my classic example is cat is meowing at the bedroom door because we don't let the cat in at night. And what the cat is doing is a super well-known behavior that is so big that we built a multi-billion-dollar industry around it. It's called gambling casinos. Cats going to the slot machine and pulling the handle, wanting a intermittent reward and a random reward. We don't know when the reward's coming, but if we know we pull the handle long enough, we'll get it. So after 10 minutes of meowing, we let the cat in, and the cat learns, oh, okay, that's what it took. But if we don't let the cat in after effectively teaching it that 10 minutes is enough, does the cat miraculously stop doing this behavior? And the answer, of course, is no. They start pulling the handle harder and faster. The reward, it's right there. And then we give in again. And then we've really taught the cat that no matter what, they get their way. And for any sort of behavior that is taught or learned, we need to reteach. And that means not just pushing back against the cat, because then we kind of get into this antagonistic relationship that's not useful. We try and use a little bit of psychology and reduce the need to pull the handle by giving them a kind of ordered or scheduled way of getting what they want that's in keeping with what we want. This might mean that we give them late night play followed by a meal so they can go to sleep if we don't want to let them in. But it really depends on the specific behavior. And then lastly, there are behaviors that come about from some degree of fear, anxiety, stress, or feeling conflicted. A classic conflicted behavior is a cat who overstimulates. It's a cat who either accepts petting or even enjoys it until they reach their time limit. And then they get frazzled and they start to lash out in one of a few different ways. And the way in which we deal with this is basically we want to release the cat from this negative emotion. If they're a nervous cat, we want to provide them with confidence and stability and routine. And by releasing the emotion, we're allowing them to basically, they don't have to express this behavior anymore because they're not feeling the thing that's causing them to behave that way. So identifying where the cat's behavior is coming from, and sometimes they overlap, right? You can have something innate and something learned working together. But identifying what category the cat falls into helps us develop a plan.
Okay. And I find this interesting. So I have an 18-and-a-half-year-old cat who has decided that at usually 5 a.m., it's time that everybody gets up. And he walks around the house just like a horrid, loud, he loves this. And of course, we're getting up and giving him what he wants because we just want him to shut up because we want to go back to bed. And so, of course, he just does it again tomorrow, right? So there's that, you're giving into the behavior, right? Like you're rewarding it. We're essentially rewarding this behavior. Now, we say to ourselves, he's 18 and a half. He deserves it, that he can get, I will do anything he wants. He has lived a long life, but I would like to be able to push that to, a little later in the morning. So there's different reasons, right? Like his food bowl's empty. And I've been using different techniques with showing him the sun coming up. Like you can wake me when you see daylight. And things like taking him, we've tried taking him. My husband will get frustrated and put him in the bathroom and close the bathroom door. He loves the bathroom because the acoustics in there. He gets in the shower and screams even louder and it just echoes like he thinks he's in a performance. So it doesn't work, right? So being able to address that is, so what would you recommend we do? Do we ignore the behavior?
Yeah. So what we want is we want your cat to sleep in, right?
Yeah.
If your cat sleeps in till 6 or 6:30 or 7, then we're not doing anything to bother the cat. Cat's happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want. We want the cat to not need to express this behavior. So a couple things are at work here. One, a lot of people think cats are nocturnal. They're actually crepuscular, which means most active during dawn and dusk. So dawn, sun is starting to lighten. This is when hunting is really good, in that half light, when cats make good use of their eyes and the mice are waking up, right? So it's a natural time for them to hunt. It's also often, everyone has a different feeding schedule, but the morning often represents the greatest chunk of time in the day that our cat has gone without food. Because if you feed, let's say you feed at 6 p.m, right? That's a common, if you feed twice a day, you feed in the morning, you feed at dinner time. That means it's 12 hours or more. If you're feeding at 8 a.m, it's 14 hours between meals. So cat's hungry. And what do cats do when they get hungry? They hunt. They're not grazers. Sheep, they're hungry. They just munch and munch and munch and munch. But cats, when they get hungry, they get active because this is how they acquire calories. And so the natural expression of a cat who's hungry is to become active. So your cat what's your cat's name, by the way?
Charlie.
Charlie. So Charlie's doing everything right. He's like, Mom, you don't understand. I need to hunt and I'm hungry. And this is what I need to do. And I've taught you to listen to me. So what we want to try and do with Charlie is satisfy his need at the other end. So he's not needing this at 5 a.m. In other words, we want to engage him in the cycle of predation. This is the things that allows a cat to be calm. And I'll just digress for one moment. Every species that I'm aware of has a method of calorie retention, not just acquisition. Penguins, they retain calories by the funny walk that penguins do?
Yeah.
They bop up and down like the twaddle. They're doing the equivalent of regenerative braking with an electronic car. They're sending energy back into their battery by walking this way. And if they didn't walk this way, it was explained to me by a penguin expert named John. If they didn't walk this way, they would starve to death.
Oh, wow.
And cats have a method of calorie retention as well. And it works like this. When cats hunt, they acquire their calories. And if they continued to run around during the rest of the day in nature without hunting, just because they have energy, guess what would happen to them?
They're going to,
They would starve.
yeah.
So
Okay.
nature doesn't want them to starve. So nature will do this thing to them. If they do the following things in order: hunt, kill, and then eat, nature makes them sleepy, puts them into a coma. So they can't run around. They have
Okay.
to retain their calories because they're sleeping. And when they're hungry, they wake up and they repeat the cycle. So it's not enough to play with our cat to make them tired. We need to satisfy the whole hunting need.
Right.
So an hour before your bedtime, you engage your cat, Charlie, with as much play as you can convince him to do. Now, 18 and a half, he may not want to do a lot, but we give him the experience of going after something for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. If with some cats, you might get 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's great. And then you have to give him the meal.
Okay.
A decent snack, and in really for the next 2 or 3 days, a generous meal, so that his body goes, oh, I can rest. I don't need to acquire more calories. I don't need to pace. And he goes to sleep like he does every night, but now the effect lasts longer. And coincidentally, he got a meal not 14 hours ago, but 7 hours ago. And his
Yes.
stomach is a little bit fuller, and that will help as well. And I have had people who literally the next day, their cat slept in.
Okay.
Because this is not so much training as satisfying the cat's needs. And
Right.
once we're satisfied the cat's needs, the cat's going to behave differently.
Yes. I know, it's incredible. Just learning and understanding this simple process of the hunt, kill, eat. If we can understand that and satisfy that need for them, that's incredible. The changes we will see. That's amazing. I love that. Incredible.
And um, this is satisfying the cat's most basic needs. It's like their profession is to hunt and kill and eat. That's the job they go to do every day. But we've taken them, typically, if they're indoor cats, and obviously some cats are indoor outdoor, but if we brought them in from the outdoors, we've taken away that environment that allows them to express one of their most basic needs. And we have to provide that environment for them in order to get that satisfaction. Some cats more than others. Could I back up briefly and just talk a little bit about communication
Yes,
with cats?
please.
So I get this question all the time. Why am I doing what I need to do with my cat? How do I talk to my cat? And when I talk about the underlying adaptive and evolutionary forces that shape a lot of behaviors, they understand the why we're going to work with this cat, in your case, late night play and feeding. Because they see why the cat needs to engage in this behavior. But there's also this idea of communication. Sometimes I'll have a client come to me and say, my cat loves me, but not my boyfriend. And I call this the boyfriend effect. And I'll ask the question, so who feeds your cat? And she'll often tell me, if it's a woman, she'll say, well, I feed the cat. And the boyfriend doesn't, right? And I kind of know the answer to this up front because it's the way it usually goes.
Yeah.
So the owner, the primary provider, has entered into a mother-kitten relationship with the cat. Kittens ask for things from their mom by meowing, purring, rubbing. And this is a very nice affiliative way of getting what they want, which is food or attention or comfort. And interestingly, in nature, or even in a home, adult cats typically don't meow to each other. They make other noises, chirps, caterwauls, but meowing is not so much of the vocabulary. But kittens meow to their mothers, and adult cats meow to us.
Wow.
Placing us in a maternal relationship with them. So listening to our cat talk to us is an opportunity to bond with the cat, because cats bond with us when we are attuned to their needs. It's basic psychology, right?
Yeah.
If you give me all the things I'm looking for, which could mean play, it could mean let's play chase me. It's a snack, or my cat who wants to sit behind my back on the cushion. if I'm attuned to all these things, they come to me for these things. And that's part of the bonding process. So it's about being attuned to our cats. Conversely, there are some cats who are not in that mother kitten relationship with us. They're more in a adversary prey relationship because the cat is very much identified with being a predator. Some cats. These are high energy cats, cats who might express themselves by ankle biting, by being play aggressive. And the way they ask for things like food is in the only way that they're really thinking about it, which is to go after us and to essentially predate upon us, to turn us into the big mouse. And that just requires a different type of communication.
Okay.
But so being attuned to our cats and then engaging in a behavioral conversation. It's not me acting solely upon the cat because the cat's doing something that I don't like. It's me asking a question of the cat. If I give you late night play followed by a meal, does that satisfy you in a way that allows you to sleep past 5 a.m? And if my cat sleeps to 6 or 7, then she or he is telling me in a dialogue, yes, you are talking to me in a way that I understand because I'm giving back to you
Yes.
the answer. And so if it's not working, then I adjust the conversation.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I advocate communication and really paying attention and body language. And I can say that most owners know their animals well. They can say, yeah, that meow is I'm hungry. That one's I want out and stuff. But I find they tend to doubt themselves or question themselves, but really paying attention to these things. And it's interesting you're saying, because Charlie was an indoor outdoor cat. And he used to hunt almost every day. He always hunting and eating his own food. But since he's gotten over, particularly over the last year, he doesn't go outside as often as much. Some days he never goes outside. He can go weeks and not go outside. So I think he's lost that that hunting and killing because he never would cry and wake us up before. So now he doesn't have that satisfaction because he's just old, but he probably still desires it.
Right.
So now I need to recreate that for him so that it's satisfied in him. Would you agree? Is that what's kind of going on here?
100%. He might be retired, but he's still with us and he still wants to do things. And so providing organized play, scheduled, what I call ritualized play, which is at the same time several times a day. So his body comes to expect it and he doesn't need to pull the handle of the slot machine. And self-play, getting really good puzzle feeders that allow him to problem solve his way to a snack.
Okay.
Are all really good techniques to use.
Okay.
But yes, I totally agree. We need to provide him with a little bit of the retirement country club that's got some, little golfing, little swimming, little
some
something
perks
to do, but isn't the hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. This is incredible because I think the one that I love the most is the innate behavior, because we forget that animals are not human. And I talk a lot about with my clients how we have humanized animals. We've brought them into our home and we expect them to behave like us. And we think that they think and feel and behave like us. And they don't. They have their own desires, their own genetic drive to behave. So the more we can research and understand the animals that we have from animal perspective, not human, we can serve them better and they can live more comfortably and confidently and satisfied. And that's really what everybody wants for their pet.
Yeah, for sure. And there have been some studies on the differences between dogs and cats that seem to suggest that dogs understand that we're not dogs. They interact with us in ways that they don't always interact with other dogs.
Right.
But cats don't seem to get that we're not cats. We're just kind of big, clumsy cats to them.
Yeah.
Because the way in which they act with us is exactly the way they act with other cats. And we need to understand that in order to be talking the language.
Yes. That's incredible. That's a really good point. That's fascinating stuff. Amazing. This has been really, really great. I hope that our listeners who have cats and love their cats are taking this in and really learning some tips from this. and have, as I said, I'm going to share your connection and information to contact you so they can book you privately and works very
Sure.
specifically. Oh, one last tip. You were talking about the cat scratching the furniture. So we got a brand new couch this fall, and I kept my one cat, we just kept looking at each other because he's like, I can't wait to scratch it. And I'm like, don't you touch my couch. But you were saying double-sided tape. I found tin foil was another one. They hate tin foil. So they wouldn't, he won't scratch it. But you know what he does do? So I got a great scratching post. I rubbed catnip all over it and I reward them. So they just went nuts for it. And they've almost destroyed, I actually made it myself for them. They love it. And it worked great as a distraction. And it gave them the thing to scratch in the house wasn't my furniture. But my one cat, Sunny, if he wants to be fed and I'm procrastinating feeding him, or he wants outside and I'm not jumping up and doing it, he will walk over to my couch and he will look at me. He'll stare at me, claws on the couch. Yep. And all
I know that look.
Yeah. And I can hear like that one or two things. And then he jumps and he runs because he knows he is very purposely controlling me. He's like, you're not going to do what I want.
Right.
Yeah. So you're being loved right now.
But this is my blind from birth girl, Jenny, by the way, who has thousands of friends on her public Facebook page, Jenny the blind cat. So he's provoking a response from you, but people often think that if we provide a negative response, that we're going to teach the cat not to do something. But what's negative and what's positive? A cat who is a hunter expects a prey response, right? In other words, when they go after a mouse, mouse will squeal and run away and act all afraid. And this is not a negative response. This is a positive response.
Yeah.
This is getting the cat all ramped up. So you kind of screeching at your cat and coming after him is exactly kind of what he expects. And you're kind of entering into this voluntary predator-prey relationship, where for a moment he can pretend to be the prey, maybe, right? But for him, it's a game.
Yes.
And he's gotten attention from you. So this is not.
Yeah.
We would want to approach this a slightly different way.
Yeah, he's definitely.
It's hard in the moment, right?
Yes,
in the moment.
He's got me wrapped around his finger. He knows how to get me to do what he wants to do in his time, not my time, in his time. So it's kind of interesting, and you know, it is what it is with them, and I kind of give him what he wants because I want to save my couch. But I like the idea and bringing in that concept that you can't deal with a cat negatively. You can't punish a cat. They hold grudges, right? Like a dog, totally different. You can reprimand your dog and 30 seconds later go, hey buddy, want to go for a walk? And they're, yeah, let's go. I love you. They don't hold grudges, but a cat really does. So we need to consider that and really deal with a cat with respect, right? Like you've got to respect them and understand them and work with them.
And this, the grudge, this is an adaptive response. This is the cat learning what to avoid that's threatening. Because again, of all the cat species in the world, there are 38 in total. Our cats are one of the few that are both predator and prey. And if we engage with them by turning them into prey, by coming after them and applying negative feedback, we're just teaching them what to avoid. But it's not the behavior we're teaching them to avoid, it's us we're teaching them to avoid.
Wow.
And so we really want the sofa by itself to be unappealing.
Right.
And that might mean, a full court press for a week or two where you really booby trap the furniture pretty intensely.
Yes.
And then provide all the positive reinforcement at the scratching solutions.
Yes. Okay. That's great. This is great stuff. And hopefully this is going to be helping cats everywhere have a better relationship, a healthier relationship with their human.
And I hope on a future conversation to talk to you about cats who overstimulate, where we pet them and then they get frazzled and upset, because it's a great way of talking about the human cat conversation and what's the actual conversation that we're having with the cat, and how can we do a reset and have a new conversation. But I'll put that out there as a teaser.
Yeah, because we will, and to add on to that, it has a lot to do with boundaries, right? Respecting boundaries. The cat's telling you, "Hey, I've had enough," and we're ignoring that. We're not paying attention to their very subtle cues that we're crossing a boundary with them. And so, yeah, that's for a
And,
different day.
yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
awesome. So this was so much fun, and of course we are going to spend a lot of time together talking about different conversations and different cat behavior issues, and anybody that's interested in bringing their cat in on the show and allowing us to perhaps talk together on the show and address a behavior from both Stephen's perspective and my perspective, and we would love that. So send us a message, let us know if you want to
Absolutely.
be on the show. And yeah, we're gonna talk about animal rights. We're gonna talk about deeper cat behaviors, and yeah, all kinds of good stuff that's coming in the future. So stay tuned. So thank you so much, Stephen.
My pleasure. And if we do get a guest to talk to, I think that what they and your audience will see is the way in which you and I are so complementary to each other. Again, something that I take great pleasure from, because you have a great perspective on cat animal communication, and it's great to watch. So I
And
look forward to all of that.
yes, I'm excited too. This is good stuff. I can't agree more. So looking forward to next time. So thanks again, and we'll see you around.
Great. Take care.